Welcome to Soft Bites Podcast, your life, your dentistry. We talk about ways to have more fun and meaning in one of the coolest and most rewarding professions in medicine. Conversations on how to bring awareness, create a healthy workplace, and provide emotional insights to make dentistry a fulfilling activity while making space for one's wonder, creativity, and freedom. Here are your hosts, Manuela and George Andre.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to another episode of the Soft Bites podcast. And this is going to be...
It seems like it was yesterday.
Yes.
It was.
It was. We were saying yesterday that we had a pause of 2 months, but now we are again in full drive in
24 hours after.
Yeah, in the recording mode. And today is going to be...
Initially, we were talking about the movie, right? So basically,
Yes.
I watched the movie, recent documentary on Netflix from Jonah Hill. The name is Stutz, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the name of the psychiatrist. Yes, that's
Documentary. It's documentary / movie about the relationship of the Jonah Hill,
Mm-hmm,
the actor himself, and his shrink.
mm-hmm,
And I really enjoyed the movie, and we were talking, me and Manuela. I suggested her to see the movie,
mm-hmm,
and you told me that several people had suggested it already to you.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And we both find the movie really something
Yes,
special. I really enjoyed the movie.
I still didn't had seen it because I wanted to have time to see it, and I texted you after I finished, and I was really happy to
Yeah.
just to not watch it in a hurry or after a busy day
Yeah.
of work. So
Yeah.
this afternoon I had the time and I was able to watch it. And that's all I did during the
Yeah.
afternoon. So it was really nice and it's really touching and
I
it's
need
really
I need
beautiful.
to watch it again.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
There are many layers to the movie. It's just such a complex movie, and
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
it's such a nice movie.
Yeah,
But
and
one of the things that really got my attention,
no, I was saying that it's very rich because it describes the tools that's what the movie is about, is for them to spread the word and give these tools to as many people as possible. But they really describe the tools really well, and they give practical exercises. So and that's one of the things that taking time allowed me to do. I was able to do some of the exercises, not all, just like you said. I also want to go back because there's a lot of information to unpack there. But for the ones listening, we really recommend and really take the time and do some of the exercises, because it's very practical exercises, but you can immediately feel the effect of some of the exercises. So it's very, very, very interesting. And one of the most interesting things he said, I don't know if you remember, but he said that if you are not feeling well, I mean mentally, just by taking care of your body, just by exercising, and
that's
85%, you feel that you feel better. 85%. How amazing is that? And we usually it's the other way around. When I feel good, I will start exercise. When I feel good, I will start. So it's amazing. Yeah. So
I really enjoyed the movie, because one of the things that got me really excited a few years ago was, I think this is maybe 15 years ago, or sometimes maybe more. I don't know, probably around 15 years ago. I read this book from Martin Stellman. It was the first time that I read something on positive psychology that was based on evidence, and it really got me excited, because I always thought that old approach or the traditional approach to psychology. And of course, I'm not a mental health professional, and far from that. But one of the things that really got me excited was uh, this new approach to psychology that was much more practical, much more pragmatic, that was based on providing you tools that you can actually improve yourself, which is the opposite of the more traditional ways of psychology and psychiatry, which is basically digging on the past and digging on the past and digging on the past on the hope that something good comes out of that, which is, and of course, not everybody is the same. But I really found that interesting that that this psychiatrist, he was saying, and there's a very interesting phrase in the movie that it says, "It's on me. I guarantee you, you will feel better. No doubts about it. It's on me." And it's very funny because it's really the basic stuff like doing exercise, eating well, getting some sleep, and you will immediately feel better. And I really found that I remember when I the first time that I read something about positive psychology on evidence based, I was really excited because it was the first time in my life that I was like, well, there's hope for people, you know. There's so much mental health issues, but I mean, this is the proof that there is something that can be done. And I think only knowing that you are not condemned to be inside your head, you know, inside your mental issues for the rest of your life, knowing there's some actionable steps that you can do to make yourself feel better. I really find that something, just the fact that you know that it is possible, and we know that for sure. I think it changes everything, because I think that the worst thing that can happen to someone with mental health issues is to look at them on non on you know, I think that sometimes people see their own mental state as something that is genetic or something that is unchangeable. And I think that the worst thing that you can say to someone when they have a disease, whatever that disease is or whatever that issue is tell them, look, there's nothing that you can do about it. And it's really cool that we now have so many people and so many books that are not just books written by some random expert that has nothing, that has no academic background, but really books from people that have studied the science and figured out that there are really some simple things that you can do to improve yourself. And I really think that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
That's why I love the movie so much. But I still have to watch it some more times.
And I also think that one of the amazing things about this movie is that it gives this approach not only to people that have mental health issues, but also to the ones that are just stuck, just stuck in their lives. He speaks about the maze and how you sometimes lose precious time of your life, sometimes years, because you don't accept situations, because you are stuck inside your head, always with the same thoughts, always with the same situations, and you are the rat in the maze. So and then you have this power force inside of you that stops you from getting out. So it's very interesting the way that he puts things. It's in a very simple language, and always he gives. So he for in all the situations, then he give an exercise, so a tool for you to use. So I think it's very, very well done, and also it's very touching. It's very moving. It's full of love, and it's very you feel the relationship between them to be very full of love. You feel that. So it's so touching. So it's available on Netflix for the ones that are listening to us. really see it. It's not very long. It's 1.5 hours. But take your time. And if not, just
It's such
watch
a
it
good
and
movie.
then go back to it with more time. But it's called Stutz, and it's available on Netflix. And really see it, because you will love it. And also that's why we had the idea of for the podcast of today, because he talks about perfectionism
Yes,
and how
and
uh,
acceptance.
and how we can become hostage of perfectionism. So today we're going to talk about perfectionism and how perfectionism what perfectionism does to dentists. Because
Yes, such a long topic.
I think
Such a long
that's a
topic.
common characteristic of dentists, don't you think?
Yeah,
They all say that
yeah,
they are perfectionists. No?
uh, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we were talking before we started recording, I have many theories. Some of them probably they make no sense, but I have quite a few theories on why dentists have this perfectionist thing, which is basically an equivalent of ego, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Perfectionist is
Mm-hmm.
very
Mm-hmm.
close to the
Mm-hmm.
ego.
Mm-hmm.
And I always, and this may be very, very simplistic, but dentist is a very unique profession that has the that I think there's a bit of frustration, not in many dentists, but in not in all dentists, of course, but I think in a significant amount of dentists that they are not seen as real doctors. That's one of the things, and some that is one thing that usually dentists don't like to talk about. But I think it is in the back of their head for most of them. Oh, come on, you're not a real doctor. I mean, if there's an emergency or something, we want to call a doctor. I mean, if you're in the plane, if someone needs a doctor, will you stand up and help? Isn't it? But so I think there's this frustration, um, and I don't think that I usually don't consider that dentists are physicians. This is like a long debate. I'm not going to go into that. It depends on the formation, on the academic background of each ones. And of course, that like any other doctor, I mean, if you are a gastroenterologist, of course, that you will not have like emergency medicine skills. And if you are a dentist, of course, that you will not have emergency medicine skills, of course. So that's one part of the equation. I mean, there's a frustration there. Um, and also, we work in a very small world, right? In a very small part of the body, in a part that sometimes it's not very well, not that much valued, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that adds to the frustration. And whenever there is some frustration, I think that the ego tries to compensate it elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, that's from where perfectionist comes. I think that perfectionist comes from something that is, I think it always comes from that. It's from something that is not um, clearly satisfying. And I think in dentistry, there's that frustration regarding medicine and regarding the fact that sometimes some people do not value the dental profession. I totally disagree with that because I think that it's not about what the patients and what the population in general thinks about the profession. I think the secret is what you give, how you bring the profession.
Mm-hmm.
What you give is not how you are seen, but actually how you promote the profession. How much love, how much care, how much a sense of mission, how much creativity do you place in the profession. I think that's the secret, and
Mm-hmm.
that comes from every profession.
I was just thinking of this analogy now that you were when you were talking. It's the same thing as you were talking about the old psychiatrists and this new approach, right? So it's like if you blame your mother for your problems, at a certain moment you have to stop blaming your mother, right? So otherwise you're going to be like a 50-year-old man still blaming your mother for your problems. The same thing as dentists, right? So that frustration might exist, but at a certain moment they have to deal with that, and then they have to stop blaming. Even sometimes if they blame again, when I hear dentists blaming patients for whatever it is, for me it's always a big red flag. If you blame your patients for something, it's because you're not taking responsibility for the situation. It's very easy to blame the patients. So
patients are like this, they don't value us, they don't
that's
come
because
on
you put
time,
yourself in a position that patients will not value your work. So it's like, it's the same thing. You risk being a 50-year-old dentist, still frustrated, because you feel that dentists are not seen as physicians, or that patients don't respect you. So you have to take responsibility, and you have to do what you said. You have to love your profession. You have to upgrade yourself. You have to enjoy what you are doing. You have to have boundaries with your patients, of course, and you have to normalize a lot of things. You have to normalize that you are not good doing everything. You have to normalize to delegate. You have to have a good system in place. So you have to take responsibility. So I think that this frustration that you're talking about is very real in the beginning, for sure. But then at a certain moment, but again, this needs self-awareness, and this needs self-awareness, and it's needs for you to be able to really take a step back and to evaluate how you are living your profession, and what kind of dentist you want to do, and what kind of dentistry you want to practice. I don't know if you agree with me, but this frustration can be dealt with, and at a certain moment it can even disappear, or at least you redirect this frustration into something good. But it's very real. I agree. In the beginning, this frustration is very real, and I also think that it's part of why you search for that perfection. Yes.
Yeah, for the perfection. Yeah, it's like you want to overcome that. You want to show people that you are a great professional. You are a great dentist.
And also, it's so technically, dentistry is so
demanding.
Sorry.
Demanding,
exactly. So demanding that you impose yourself to yourself that perfection in a technical way, the technical part, because it's interesting, and I observed this. There's no systems and protocols for managing the practice, so the practices that have the clinics that have them are exceptions. Not anymore. More and more they start to appear. But then when you are seated in the chair, everyone has the systems, everyone has the protocols and respects them. So I think that also perfection comes from that technical demanding that the profession has. So that's
the margin. Yeah, it's very detailed, and it's very precise. And I agree with you. Yeah, you have to be precise. And I wasn't actually thinking about it, but you are absolutely right. There's a lot of things during any sort of procedure in dentistry where you need to be between commas perfect, right? You need to give a perfect anesthesia. You need to do a perfect cavity, a perfect preparation. I mean, I understand. So, and we are talking about very detailed stuff and very micro stuff. So yes, I agree. I think that small world also, once you get used to, once you normalize perfection within the technical part,
then you take it to other parts of the of your life and of the profession also, and then you start hearing yourself saying like, oh, I like to do everything well done. I like to be very organized. I like to be prepared for everything. I always give my best. I always go beyond my capacities, because that's what you are used to do on the technical part. Don't you think that in dentistry that happens because you demand and you impose yourself this technical profession, and then it's very easy for you to use that on another aspects of your life and career?
Yes, I totally agree with you. That's something that I have never thought of, but I think it makes perfect sense. I think that yes. I think that yes. I think that of course, that there's a minimum standard of care, but even in the simple act of anesthesia, I mean, you should be precise. You should not hurt the patient, and that demands a big degree of attention to what you are doing. Staying calm, don't rush stuff. Make sure that things take time to take action, and it's true. I have never thought about that, and I was thinking about myself, how much that search for perfection in the technical part, how much does that influence my other parts of life? And I think they do. I think they do. But I also believe that even within the technical part, I think you should go for the standard. I mean, there's this standard which I am not willing to drop below, right? But I think that you also need to, of course, not drop that standard, but realize that there's, at least what works for me is this: there's only so much that you can do in a given time. For example, let me give you an example. It happens regularly. Sometimes a patient is booked to prepare like a full upper arch. Okay. And I keep going, and then I realize I only have like 1 more hour or 1.5 more hours. And I said, look, if I'm going to prepare everything, I will not have time to take impressions. And for me now, it is okay not to do the impressions at that point.
Now,
you understand?
Before.
Now, before I used to be harsh on myself. I used to, and it made no sense, because I would spend half of the appointment stressed because I wanted to get that done, because I wanted to save time for the patient, right? Because otherwise you will have to come again. But now I realize there's only so much that I can do, and having said that, we do book very long appointments, and we do try to make a lot of stuff done in the same day. But of course, for example, in my schedule, that needs to be scheduled like sometimes weeks, sometimes months ahead. And sometimes, for example, let's say I have a canceled patient or something, or I have suddenly I got a free slot on the morning or something, and we book a patient and they come, and it's actually it's something that I could eventually do. It is possible to do everything that morning. It would be stressful, right? But today I would rather take the time, again, yes, to make things right. And I won't say perfect, but to make things within the standard of care. But I don't rush myself the way that I used to. I try to forgive myself for not being for not being perfect, let's say. I try to. This is something that is happening over the last, I would say, maybe 5 years or so. Before that, I would sometimes, and one of the things that at least for me, it happens a lot, is that the more perfect I try to be, the more late I am in appointments, and that is shitty, you know. That is shitty. Even today, I got something. I was treating actually a colleague, one of the staff members, and she had some issue there. We had booked to prepare for a crown and the impression, and she had an internal resorption, and I very easily lost about 45 minutes with the situation. I could have not done the impression at that appointment and do that some other day, but I wanted to, but I did it anyway. So I got about half an hour late. And then it comes the frustration again because you are late and patients don't like it, etc. So for me, whenever I try to go for perfection, it always has a price to pay. One of the price is the stress. The other price sometimes is that I get late. So I think that over the last half a dozen of years, I've tried to forgive myself not to be as perfect. And I wouldn't say for the standard of care, but sometimes it's not possible to do everything right in a given amount of time, and you have to take your time. Right? It's better to ask the patient to come another appointment, and you are enjoying the process, you are making things as they should be, but not in a stressed way, in a calm way. Just follow the protocol, listen to your music, stay calm, take the time that it takes, have a relaxed environment. And for me, I think that works much better than try to be a robot and try to do everything in one go with it. And sometimes there's a price to pay for that.
I'm laughing because that's why I love you, and that's why I love you hearing you talk, because you just said everything that I say about perfectionism in a very practical way. So basically, what I say about perfectionism is that we wrapped up perfectionism in a positivity, in a false positivity. So we say things like,
Yes.
I like to do everything well done. I like to be
Yeah.
well prepared for everything. I always give my best, right? I always go beyond.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then we forget about the negative. So we only care
The
about
other
this,
part.
the other part, because there's the reverse, right? There is the other part
Yeah.
that you just said it. I blame myself every time that something does not go well. The loud inner critic blaming myself. I'm the fear of failing. The fear of failing. I never trust others. I cannot. I have problems to delegate because I don't trust others. I never have free time. Right? I always arrive late home and leave the practice very late. What I do is never enough. So there's this reverse. But because we put this bright shining gold, silver lining or whatever to perfectionism, and we like to exhibit ourselves as being perfectionists. We even wear it as with proud. I'm a perfectionist, right? But we forget then that there's a negative side to that. All the blaming, all
Yeah.
the fear of failing. And we already talked
Yeah.
about this also. We are dealing with humans and human tissues, so things can fail. Even if you follow all the protocols, things
Yeah.
can fail. So and doing that,
Yeah.
what you just said, I found it really, really. I was smiling inside when you said, when I aim for perfection, I always get late. Yeah, you just said it. Yeah, you just said it. You said it with all the words in the practical way of what you feel, and the conclusions that you arrived after years of working and after making errors, just like you said, all the conclusions that you have is due to your own practice and due to
Yeah.
your own tentatives and failing. So
yes, the nurses, the staff doesn't like me to get late because they have to listen to the patients
yourself don't
complaining.
like it. You yourself don't like it, and you already discovered that there's a simple way of doing things, and that things work, and that you give your best. But okay, we know that perfection does not exist. We know that perfection is subjective, but and don't you think? I don't know if you agree with me, but don't you think that the main reason why we have this thing with perfection, why we demand perfection, because I think that perfectionism is a pressure that we impose in ourselves, right? We create them ourselves. We establish this standards, realistic most of the times, because it's the 100%, and it's realistic, and we start to evaluate our self-worth with that in mind, which is realistic also. But don't you think that we demand this perfection because we have the fear of failing? We want to avoid errors. We want to avoid the shame. I already talked about shame today with you. The judgment of others, the guilt, all the bad emotions that can come from failing. Don't you think that's why there's this perfectionism?
Of course. I mean, we are objective in nature. I mean, we have our ancestors. They lived in the jungle, isn't it? I mean, there's this social status thing. There's this survival thing, and I think that we are evolving. Right? We are evolving towards a much more healthy society, but still, we don't want to be left behind. I mean, we want to feel accepted. We want to feel valued. We want to feel praised. We want to feel success. Right? I mean, we want to be attractive to the opposite sex. I mean, we want everything, isn't it? And, that's just. I think that's just in our genes. And of course, it's normal that you want to survive and to be successful. I mean, that's part of the game. It's part of staying alive. I mean, sometimes we forget that these things, they are inside us, and these are the things that have allowed us to survive generation after generation and still be here, is because we have this thrill to live but I think that the other part is that it can be very unhealthy today. It's actually one of the things that I would like to ask you is this. I mean, if we know that the tools and the traits, the human traits that we need to have them to survive, and in a certain way to be perfection, to be a perfectionist, don't you think that it's difficult to find the balance, isn't it? I mean, what is healthy? When do you know exactly what is healthy and what isn't healthy? I mean, because is there anything wrong in trying to be successful? Do you understand? And when do you believe that your search for success starts to get unhealthy?
I don't think there's nothing wrong.
And can you be aware of that?
I don't think there's nothing wrong about being successful. I don't think there's nothing wrong about chasing success. You just have to know what success means to you. What is your success? Because this is all subjective. I mean, perfection is subjective. It's a question of perspective. The same thing as success, the same thing as happiness. Things that bring me happiness, that bring me joy, probably are completely different from the things that bring you happiness and joy. So success for me, it's a completely different thing than for you, probably. I mean, I can give you an example of success. For me, success nowadays, this stage of my life, is to, today I had no alarm clock. I woke up spontaneously with no alarm clock before 8 o'clock, which was very good. I had the afternoon free to watch the movie with the time that I wanted and that I needed to. So that's success for me nowadays, and I'm very happy to be here, also talking to you at 11:20 in the evening. That it's here, and
And one of the
so.
things that you often say is that whenever you talk about balance, you always say that balance is not something that is like an equal distribution of
No,
work and
no,
leisure.
no,
It
no, no,
depends
no.
on
On the
what you
priorities.
feel
That's
at
it.
the moment.
That's it. On the stage that you are on your life, that's why you have to reevaluate all the priorities, or everything, because there's a lot of variables on your life, and they are always changing. So success for me nowadays is this. It's to enjoy what I do, is to be here talking to you. Tomorrow I also have no alarm clock. I'm going to a horse riding with Michelle. So I have already scheduled I'm going to work for 4 hours tomorrow during the day. I know exactly what I have to do. So, and I plan my free time. I know what I'm going to do in my free time exactly the same way as I plan my work. Like I told you yesterday, we talked about this. And that's success for me nowadays. In 1 year, I don't
What would
know. I might be in a different
yeah,
place, in a different
yeah.
stage of my life. So
And,
I don't
and
think, yeah.
when do you think there are, for someone that is listening, that is, I mean, if you're a perfectionist, I mean, there's really there's some pressure there. But what do you think are the red flags here that you really should watch out for yourself and say, look, this is not a healthy perfection?
Well, first of all, I think that it. uh, Again, we go back to self-awareness. You have to be really you have to really pay attention to the red flags during your day. So if you have a loud inner critic, if you are always blaming yourself for the things that are happening. I remember when I started to pay attention to my inner dialogue. I think I already told you this. I don't know if it was in the podcast or not, but I was shocked of the way that I talk to myself. I describe myself nowadays as a perfectionist in the recovery, because I remember that when I in Portugal, when I was working in the clinic, and this was around, I don't know, 12 years ago, 14 years ago, I called myself stupid. I don't know how many times a day, and I didn't call anyone stupid, not friends, family, anyone. And I treated myself calling names to myself. So that's a big red flag. So if you have this loud inner critic that it's always blaming you when something doesn't
Not
go
happy.
according to well, or you feel always that you cannot control the situation, that things that you reach the end of the day and you are really not in the control of the situation. If you have trouble sleeping because there are always things worrying you, that's a big red flag also. If you feel that you don't have really free time, even during your free time, you're always thinking about working, what you have to do and what you should do or what you should have done. If you feel that what you do is never enough, if you have that feeling that, oh, I do everything for others and other people don't do anything for me, that kind of speech also, that's also
Yeah.
a red flag. The same thing, the same speech as we talked earlier, the speech of patients don't respect me. That's also a red flag.
Yeah.
So
Any sort of negative talk
yeah.
towards,
And
even though you
and if
work
that
your ass off.
starts and if that starts to affect your
Yeah,
your health and your well-being and your personal
yeah,
life.
yeah. Let me tell you something about today, and I think it fits. Uh, One thing is being perfectionist with yourself, right? Working hard and
Mm-hmm.
doing this, the
Mm-hmm.
things that depend on you. What about a team? What
Mm-hmm.
about when the team is not perfect?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you, for example, what happened today. Today we had a busy day. We had a very long surgery, a bemaxillary immediate loading over implants, which took about from 8:30 till 2. And then I have some other patients in the afternoon, so it is a busy day. And there were two things that bother me that I just noticed in the staff. One of them is one of the new nurses. She was talking louder than what she should. And I mean, she was not, she was on the phone, but she was talking louder, and which is something that I really don't like. And I think that in healthcare environments, you should talk with a low volume and with a bass voice. And the other thing was something about the way that some other, the receptionist, I just was passing by and I heard a conversation that someone came in to do the final payment of something that they were paying every month or something like that. So, well, and she asked, well, can I take the receipt now? And she said, well, no, I can give it to you now. And in my mind, it should have said, well, at this moment, the person who is in charge of that is not here. She's in her lunch break. But we will send that to you by email. I mean, so one thing is to say no, and the other thing is to reframe it and to say, it's at the moment this is difficult, but rest assured that we will send that by email by tomorrow or something. You know, that thing, that those techniques in communication. So those were two things that annoyed me. And I usually take mental notes throughout the day, and I just, at the end of the day, I just drop them in the to-do list. And I was thinking about, okay, there's another thing, there's a third thing, and of course that I think this sounds familiar for many dentists. The other thing was we have an issue with the music playing on the reception. I mean, sometimes they forget to turn it on, or sometimes it's turned on, but it's very low. And I for many years I've been struggling with that, and sometimes I play with them. Oh, you don't like my playlist. I'm going to change my playlist because you never play my playlist. So I was thinking, like, look, I have to find a way. I don't want to be bothered again by this sound situation and stuff like that. So I was really determined into finding a system to end that. And one of the nurses, she's doing more administrative work, and she was asking, okay, so what more responsibilities do you want me to have and stuff like that? And I was thinking about that, and I was thinking, okay, there are two ways that I can do this. One of them is to be aggressive with them and to explode like in a very aggressive email and say, look, hey, it's been years and years that I've been asking you to turn on the volume of the sound in the reception, and you don't do it. And it's been, and you know that you should not talk loud in the reception. One of the ways is exploding, right? Mm-hmm. I won't say exploding, but being
assertive
in a confrontational tone. Yeah, being assertive. Yeah, and eventually even doing some fines to her incentives, like reducing some 10 or 15 years of incentives. And I was like, well, what is exactly going on here? And I think this is where perfection comes into place. Am I being excessively perfectionist, or is it something that it's reasonable that it doesn't happen in my practice? And the conclusion that I arrived, no, I don't think this is being perfectionist. I think that, yes, well, this is something that I really would like to fix in my practice. And it works fine in most of the situations, so I'm happy with that. I think that in the vast majority of situations, that number, that 70 to 80%, we are okay and we fulfill that. But sometimes things fail. And I was thinking about what is the best way to deal with that. There are several ways to deal with that. Okay, one of the things that I never do is to within the chaos of the day, I never confront them. And I never do that in the chaos of the day. Why? Because it was a difficult day, that there was a surgery, and I just want things to calm down. So should I send an email right now regarding what happened? And chances are that they might seen it in the evening before a holiday, which they may be partying or something or out with the family. Does it make sense to send that email at that time? That's one thing. So should I send it tomorrow, or should I send it maybe next Friday because they will be working? And probably next Friday, I will look at the situation in a different angle, and I'll also take advantage of the situation that the new nurse is asking me for responsibilities for the administrative work, and why not give that the responsibility to her? Look, we have a challenge here, so let's look at this as an exercise. Let's make this funny. So you have this challenge. You are now responsible for this. You are responsible. You have to find a way. You have to find a way. You have to find a protocol so that your colleagues and yourself, you don't miss the sound in the reception and some of the other stuff. That one of the things that it's also time. It's also time that we do the course that we always ask some people some teachers to come to the practice to teach some communication skills. So it can also be a good motto to that. So, but the challenge here is this: it's not something that it's not the first time that these things happen. This can get a confrontation, even though they know this needs to happen. This can get some sort of confrontation, and the challenge is, well, how can I get this done? How can I get this to be done and to be effective? But
not
do
sounding
not
like
create a situation.
A dictator.
Yeah, not sound like a dictator or an idiot.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So I think this quest for perfection, it's not also within yourself, it's also within the team. And within the team, additional challenges come in, right? You have to think about these things. And also, okay, that's one part of the situation. The other situation is this: okay, for how long during today am I allowed to be thinking about this? Do you understand? For how long? I'm not going to go out today. Today is Wednesday, and tomorrow is a holiday here in Portugal. I might have, but I went out last weekend, and I'm just going to stay home and record the podcast.
I think that
chill out.
I think that you do something that I think it's very important, which is to take notes of the things. So I think it's very good that you do that brain dump.
Yes.
So that you take that brain dump, and also to take some time to really even if
digest it.
Yeah, that's it. Even if you don't think about the situation, just put some time between the situation and the reaction, so that you can bring a response, a wiser response instead of a reaction. Because that email that you might have sent today, it would be maybe not assertive but aggressive.
Absolutely.
And then it might not have the effect that you want, and yes, it might lead to the.
And this is not something that I thought of in the beginning. And today I think I had this insight, which is I don't think that are people that want to work in anyone's practice that want to do a bad service, honestly. I don't think, unless there's some sort of friction with the boss or something. But I think that people generally, they try to do their best, isn't it? And I think that you have to relate with them from that starting point. Does it make sense what I'm saying? I mean,
yes.
You have to believe that what they want is the best for the practice as well, right? Because just the fact that you believe that is halfway through that they can actually do that. Because if you look at them as they are annoyed from being here, they are just being idiots, or they are fed up of working hours and they don't. I mean, if you look at it's very simple. If you look at that from it is, and actually people will become that. will become. I mean, if you create an image that they are not on your
you
side,
see them that way. Yeah, you see them that way.
yeah, and if you start to see them in a different, it's like the world is what you see the world as you are, isn't it?
It's all a matter of perception. Yeah.
So I was thinking about it. Why would that dental nurse said so bluntly no to that patient? Oh no, I cannot give you the receipt today. And the reason that she did it, it was not because she couldn't do it any other way, because maybe she was stressed and even though even though that there was a surgery and they are paid extra when they don't go when they have long working hours, and there's some which is also important, right? I mean, if you have a big surgery and if you have long working hours, they receive a higher percentage of that, and I think that's makes them feel better. So you have to understand that if that happened, maybe they were stressed, and also maybe I wasn't clear enough. Maybe the protocols were not clear enough regarding that you should not use the word no on the reception or on the phone. And or maybe because I have been doing last year we didn't do the communication skills course that we all, or the other, and then the other nurse, why did she talk loud? Maybe because she used to work in a completely different setting, not healthcare. She used to work on retail, and I was like, okay, what's the most productive thing that I can do in terms of trying to fix this and having them more, not only making the change, not only having them improve, but also making them feel better. Is there a way to do that? And yes. I used to believe that there wasn't,
but there is.
But I think there is.
There is, and you are doing it.
I think there is.
It's really nice what you described.
I don't know.
You are connecting to the common humanity that we all have. What you just described when you are trying to think about why did she acted this way? Okay, it might be this, it might be that. Yeah. So not reacting immediately. So you are connecting to this.
But
But
my perfectionist part, I want to be perfect. I want my practice to be perfect. Therefore, I'm going to send them the email today.
But there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that,
yes.
Andre.
No, but the thing is that, yes, I agree. But the thing is that if you get caught up in the perfection without stopping and say, okay, this is not perfect.
Then you build walls and it's war. It's like the blaming game
and
that we already
push through.
It's reactive communication. It's
And you explode.
Yeah, completely.
So I think that the road towards perfection is not like this. Because if you do it like this, I think that sooner or later you'll fall. I think it's something like this, you slowly with successes and failures, step by step, you bring people along with you, and because at the end of the day, you want them to be on. I won't say on your side. You want them to be on the side. You want them to feel like a team, isn't it?
Yes.
People care as well. Yes, I did make a mistake, but there was understanding here. And
also, let me just say this because I think it's important. There's nothing wrong with wanting the best for your practice, and there's nothing wrong to want to correct those things that annoy you and that you feel that can be improved. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the only thing. The only thing that I think it could be wrong or going wrong is it's just like you said, if you react immediately and if you are aggressive and if you build this wall and it's a blaming game because you did this and this, so that's not productive. But if you give some space, if you connect to that common humanity that we all have, if you really then find a way of coaching them, of turning this into a learning
Yes,
point,
exactly.
that can be done. That can be done, because
Yeah.
you might say, because I think it can be also a mistake, and that's why I think it's very important for us to talk about this. It can be a mistake to think, okay, I did surgery. It was very demanding. We were all tired. Why the hell am I worried now about the music or this or that? No, it bothered you. It bothered you, and you think
Yeah.
that things can be improved. So I think it's very
Mhm.
healthy to take notes, to really take those notes, to really go back to these notes, not react immediately, and taking those notes into something positive and say, okay, don't miss the you can really, this is an opportunity for you to teach them and for the things to improve, and they will appreciate that if you do it that way, and they will correct it. But if you take the aggressive approach, sometimes it's just
Yeah.
noise, it's just noise,
Yes,
and things
absolutely.
will
Yeah.
continue to be the same. Things will continue to be the same, and
Yeah.
that's how you build a team. That's what you say, and that's how you make
Yeah,
people
but
feel
it's
part, that they are part of the team.
and I was and it's amazing how the impact that things have on you dependent on your own mental state. Because today we had it was a very high responsibility, the surgery, because it was a referred patient, and he was a relative of a dentist that refers a lot of patients to me. So there was a high degree of responsibility. All went well, but your calmness. I mean, if I wake up and I meditate and I see something like that happening in my practice, I mean that dysfunctionality, I assimilated it one way. Okay, but if I wake up, meditate, go for the surgery after 6 hours, I'm drained from the surgery. And if I see that, the impact that it has is different. Do you understand?
Yeah, of course.
So you really have to look at yourself and say, well, hey Andrea, this is really not you. Actually,
Yeah, yeah.
uh, this is really not you at your best version. I mean, the way that you are seeing this, you are seeing this through the lens of the tired Andrea. Do you understand? And you have to. So this is not almost in a way, and in a way, it's very interesting because it's very playful. I mean, you are tired, right? But you understand that you. So you look at your you look at your mental state and your physical state from outside perspective and say, well, yes, I know that you want to react that way, but actually that's not you. That's not the best version. That's not the funny part of you. That's not the most important part of you,
But
which is
isn't that wonderful,
uplifting.
that
And
to be able
it
to
is,
watch
it is,
that,
it
and
is,
to be
it
that,
is, but it
to be
takes,
that self, that have
yes,
that self management, because that self management, that's emotional intelligence in action, what you just described.
exactly. But stop. You have to stop to think about it. And you
Because you can
cannot do
identify
that.
the impulse, and you don't it's like a scratch. You feel the etch, but you don't scratch
Yes,
it. That's it.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. But it is difficult. I
Yeah,
mean,
of
it is
course, you have
difficult
to train
because,
it. You have
and,
to
and
train
and
it.
also, yes, and also that there's a big lesson for me, which is this was an exception. This surgery was this day was an exception because whenever I do these surgeries, whenever I do these long surgeries, I don't work for the rest of the day. But it was the schedule needed to be this way. So it was not something that was normal. But usually for these surgeries, I do not work for the rest of the day. And because I did work, all that I had to, this exercise was not done immediately. It was only done at the end of the day when I was alone at the practice and just taking some notes. Then I just stopped and realized, well, why would you? And I was even thinking, okay, I'm not going to I'm going to write the email and I'm going to have it delivered over the next 2 days. And I said, well, actually, I don't think that's a good idea because if I write it today, I don't think it will be the same as writing it 2 days. So there's a better way. So I'll just going to take note of the situation. It's here. Tomorrow is a day off, and on Friday I'll just look at it and see. And but that takes. I think that takes years of.
It takes of training,
experience. And the other part is the acceptance part, which is, well, you have to accept that. You remember in the movie, in the Stutz, they said that there are things that are very constant, which is throughout life, no matter where you are, which is pain, there's always there. Uncertainty, there's always there. And the need for constant work. So there will always be pain, there will always be uncertainty, and you'll always need to keep working. And I really found that interesting because we no matter how emotionally developed you are, you always have this idea that, well, the others are happier than me, or that the others don't have any problems, or that their life is amazing, their love life or their family life, you always have this idea, isn't it? And when you see a talking about, look, no, everybody struggles. Everybody will have throughout their life pain, uncertainty, and the need for constant work. So I think that refrain for, okay, yes, I was a bit sad for that happening because it's something that I really don't like. But on the other hand, it's like, well, yeah, this is it. You have to act on it. You have to make sure that things will get solved. But this is also an opportunity because of the new assistant. Okay, let's make this. Let's make what's the positive part of this without getting too serious about it. Without getting too, because I think that maybe 10 years ago I would be pissed off. Look, I've been telling you many times that this shouldn't happen, and you keep doing this. And I think that this is really an opportunity for me to train a different part of leadership, a different style of leadership. Number one, and number two, you always need to accept that perfection doesn't exist, right? You need to accept that,
and you say something about that, don't you? You say don't aim for the 100% and aim for the 80%, right?
Yes. But sometimes sometimes those 20% they get shown in your face, isn't it? And you have to remind yourself, look, it's okay. I mean, if it's okay, you just have to make sure that just do your get them to do the course on communication skills. Get some, we call it mystery patient, that every year there's a student come and do the analysis of the practice. So I think there's this balance. Yes, there are some things that, okay, this should be happening, so let's take care of this. But at the same time, you should not lose the feel of living because of that. We should not lose the feel. I mean, if I had like a dinner today, or if I had like a party today, or if I had like whatever, I should not let these things ruin it. And it's not by repressing them; it's by embracing them and realizing that realizing that you are working with humans and you are not perfect yourself. And just try to see the good things around that, and don't let that affect you that much. So 10 years ago, my reaction would have been completely different. Yes, and because I think that I'm a healthier perfectionist now. I am a healthier perfectionist, especially towards myself. Right? Especially towards myself.
So, do you think that has to do with the fact that you recognized your vulnerability and that you don't hide behind perfectionism anymore, that you recognize that you are human, that the people that work with you are human also? that you connect to that part of humanity, and that you have no problem in admitting your mistakes, and that you have no problem in saying, look, I need you, whatever it is that I need you to do a good job, I need you to be motivated to work with us, whatever it is. And do you think it's that was the reason why there was this change?
I think it's a bunch of reasons. I think it's a bunch of reasons. I think I think as I get older, I feel better in my skin, and I feel better with with my uh, my flaws. Let's say it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel much better, and I don't have any issues talking about them. I think that's one thing. I think also that the fact that because of the fact that I expose myself so much about teaching not only the technical part but the things with these courses and even the podcast, and I think that over the last years since I decided to talk about management and stuff like that, I think that I have to practice what I preach, and I don't like to, because when you teach, you always learn, right? So I think there's also that. Yes, there's more experience. There's more. I feel better in my skin. I think that the fact of thinking about this stuff and teaching about that, I think it also helps a lot. Um, and I also believe. I think that there was a. I think that change, the biggest change in my the things that got me to change the most were I think that being aware, reading so much on the subject, and being so aware of of mistakes, that the common mistakes in leadership in dentistry. I think it has made me think more about this and try to provide a healthier environment for others and for myself. And that is a higher priority than making money. Yes. So there are many things here that are there. I mean, it's not only one thing. It's a lot of things that have been happening over the last, I would say, decade in my life that has made me more humble, maybe more vulnerable, without any mean, without any doubt. And also, yes, and what you're saying is true. Is that I desperately need other people in my life to succeed completely. There are many. I was even thinking about that today. There are many people that really got my back, that otherwise I would not be able to live the lifestyle that I have, and the practice and the teachings and the courses. There's no way, and I'm highly dependent on them. Yeah. So there are many things. There are really many things that have contributed to that. I think it's a path, it's a journey. You learn here, you learn that, and you learn a lot by mistakes and by frustration. And I think there's a big part of that. And I think I've done many mistakes in terms of leadership. But yeah, I think that there are many things. I think it's a path. I think that you have to. I think that you have to look in front of you and know exactly where you want to go, and you have to, and you will realize sooner or later that you cannot do it alone. It's impossible to do it alone. And actually, it's much funny. It's much fun. It's much more fun if you don't do it alone, isn't it? And if you want to people to support you and to have fun with you, you need to you need to support each other. Yeah. So there are so many things. So many.
And do you think also that perfectionism can, if you are not aware, it can lead you to not being your real self? It's like you putting a mask You understand? I don't know if you.
I think I think it can close you. I think it can isolate you. I think perfectionist can isolate you.
It's
I
like you
think
cannot
that
be your authentic self. You don't present yourself like your authentic self.
yeah,
So all of that you just said,
yeah.
that you are able to be
I think
vulnerable, to
there's
recognize your
the
failures, all of that. You only do that because you are able to present yourself as you are, right? So no masks, no, okay, this is me. So that's
I
true.
think
It's
we
very
always
brave and it's true.
yeah.
But
I think we
if
always say, I think we all have masks.
yeah,
Maybe
okay,
some.
yeah,
I think that as long as if we uh, the more we experience we have, I think that it's easier to live without a mask. I try to remove mine as much as
hmm.
possible, but your question was your
It's just
question
because
was
some
exactly.
colleagues relate to me, talk to me about this feeling that they have.
Mhm.
They even sometimes use the word actor. I feel like I'm an actor, like I put
Within
this
dentistry,
personage.
within
Yeah,
dentistry.
yes. When they enter the clinic and
Mm.
to deal with patients, it's like when the
I
patients
couldn't
enter,
like
like
that.
they, like the fake
I couldn't
smile,
live like
you know,
no,
and they
it's
are
fine.
tired of
I
playing a
couldn't live
part.
like
They are
that.
tired of playing a character,
Mm. I
and
couldn't
it's
live like that. I think that it is because I think it is. It's of course very complex, but I think the only reason that you can make it that if you play you put on a mask is because you think that patients expect you to be
mhm.
in a
Yeah,
certain
I
style
think
that you should have
exactly
like
that's in the beginning what they do and they don't realize it. And then that's their way, that
yeah
starts to be
they
their
just
way
keep
of
on
working, and then they
yeah
cannot work in a different way. It's like you do what you think it's expected you to do, or you talk the way that you think, or you dress the way that you think it's expected you to do. So there's a certain amount of things that I think,
you think that's the perfect way to be a
yeah,
dentist or
that's
that's
it. It
the
still comes like with the
my
job. I think
yeah
it's changing, of course, but
my advice to that would be to stop and think and write down what would be your perfect style of practice. Of course, that you cannot be completely relaxed. You don't want to be smoking weed in front of the patient while you treat him. Of course,
you
that's
are
not what we're
you are
talking
so
about, right?
radical.
No,
Yeah.
but it's like we are in healthcare, right? I mean, it could, for example, let's say you develop an app and you just have this studio where you and your team, all the coders. I mean, if you want to be
Yeah.
completely relaxed, you
Yeah,
can do
okay, but
whatever you
that's a
want. But
completely different environment, because then you,
that's
as a
from top.
dentist, you are
Yes,
working inside the mouth of a
yes.
person, and then if you are
You have
high,
to.
that's not.
Yeah, you have to understand. You have to understand that you work in healthcare profession.
Yeah, that's it.
So that's which means there's some ethical stuff, there's
Yeah.
some safety stuff that needs to go on. Okay, so that's basic. And from then on, okay, so after that is assured and there's respect for the people, and you want to make sure that you practice what you want to make sure that you do what you promise. I mean, if you say a patient that, look, we are going to send you an email over the next week regarding your treatment plan or this, I mean, you have to defend your word. I mean, this is
Hmm.
something that is going to happen. This is something that's going to happen. Now, I think that people need to 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 idealize or write down or think about how would they be happy working?
Hmm.
How would my practice be? How happy would I be if my practice was this way, this way, and this way, and this way? Okay,
Hmm.
and start to aim for that. I mean, I never had that issue. I never. Maybe in the first years, I think that maybe in the first years when I worked out, not in my practice, I was very. I used to dress for work. I mean, dress in a way that I wouldn't I mean, I dress the same
that you
way.
thought that dentists would dress.
Yes, but I dress the same way if I go out at night or if I go to work. I mean, I don't have that big difference. Of course, I'm not talking about a special occasion of like smoking and suit and stuff like that. But I have no issues with that. And my style of talking to patients is very honest. I mean, it's very polite. It's extremely polite, but it's very honest. It's basically, I mean, if I want to talk, I talk. If I don't feel like talking, I just work. But I'm not there trying to make, trying to impress them in any way. I just try to be polite. I try to relax them. I try to use, I think something very important is that if you are calm, patients get calm. I try to use a soft and warm tone of voice. I try to transmit confidence and calmness, but I don't play any role, and it's very difficult for me to imagine me working that way. I don't try to play any role. I don't try to do that. But I understand it in the first years, and that came out of lack of confidence, I think. So I don't know. So I'm just a begin. I'm just a dentist out of school, and maybe that this is the way that dentists dress, and I should wear some shoes and not some tennis to the practice that I started to work. But if you ask me, okay, so they create this avatar that then they have to fulfill. I think that's very tiring, you know.
Yes.
It's very tiring
Energy
for your soul.
consuming. Yes. Yes.
So for me, something extremely important, for example, I want to listen to the music that I like in my practice, in the places that I am. I like to listen to the music that I like. This is something that is really non-negotiable for me, for example. This does not mean that I'm not polite with the patient, that I'm not, but I'm very pragmatic. I mean, I talk what I need to talk. Sometimes I make a joke. If I feel like genuinely making a joke or asking them or trying to know more about them, I do. If I don't feel like it, I don't. I just. But of course, there's the basic. There's the respect. There's the attention. There's the care. There's the light side of I don't want to make it very serious. I mean, I don't want to make it too formal. I don't think that you don't have to prove yourself that you are. You don't have to show your patient that you are extra smart. You know? When your work field, there's a sentence that I like, which is, I think it comes to this question, which is, when your work speaks for itself, don't interrupt. But when your work speaks for itself, don't interrupt. So if you are focused, if you want to do something good, you don't have to be doing that silly talk of just. You know, some dentists they just need to feel the silences. You know, just talking. Blah, 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 blah. I knew some dentists like that. They just entertain. They are entertainers. You know, this is not my style. But I understand it. But for me, it would be very tiring. And I personally, I believe that the dentist that adopts an entertainer style cannot focus on what's the most important thing, which is actually the work. That's what I think. And there's lots of entertainers out there. Yes, it's true. I remember that when I was young, I would hear I would go and see some dentists work. They would stop talking about everything with a patient. Blah, 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 blah. Always talking. So patients would love them because of the entertaining environment, not actually because of dentistry. And I don't think that you should, in my opinion, I think
when they were working inside the patient's mouth.
Especially when they were working.
Okay.
Especially when they were working. They were always talking about this and the news and that and this and this and this. And this. Yeah. It's like it's just gossiping and talking about. You know, some people just it's like when you go to I don't know if it is the same, but especially hair salons, in female hair salons, the kind of talk, that's the style. They just keep talking about everything and nothing, just to entertain, just to fill the silence. And for me, that never made sense for me. Dentistry was always
working,
about what
that's
you are
working
doing.
in the automatic pilot, and so your hands,
Maybe.
your hands know what you are doing, so you know the protocol. You are there
Yeah.
physically, but you are not there
Yeah.
mentally. So that means that you are not paying attention to the details. That you can miss. But okay, that's me.
I think to make a long story short, I think that what you just asked regarding people that create this persona, this avatar, well, for me, I never saw that. And my advice to that is to really stop and think, what's the kind of dentist that you want to be? I mean, do you want? Because I also believe that there's a difference. I mean, when things go wrong, and they will go wrong many more times, that things get late, the work is not arrived when it should have, you do something and it breaks. If you create this persona, it's much more difficult to solve the situations that go wrong, in my perspective, because authenticity and honesty, I think, is always the best short.
That's it.
The
And
best
this
answer.
persona and hiding also behind the perfectionism, it creates disconnection. Basically, creates disconnection. If you present yourself with authenticity, if you can I mean, show vulnerability, and vulnerability doesn't mean that you cry in front of the patient, or it's just that you can connect to the human aspect of the other person. I think this drives connection. And it's you sometimes. I mean, even nowadays, sometimes I get surprised with the answers that I have. Sometimes I'm so worried, when, for example, to say no to certain things that don't feel right for me, like even the basic things, like an invitation for dinner or something like that. And nowadays I try to really, when something does not connect me, and I
Feel right.
have that, it doesn't feel right, or if I'm tired and I already said no, I'm going to rest on that day, and then I have an invitation and I said, oh, okay, and I see that it's just my mental part saying, you have to go because of this or fear that I might be forgotten or whatever. And then I can come forward and say, oh, look, sorry, no, but I'm really tired and I already had decided I'm going to rest,
Yeah.
but that does not mean that I don't
Yes.
like you and that I don't want to connect with you. And I'm still surprised for the feedback, because people do understand, and they really, and sometimes, oh, you're really brave,
Of
you're
course they
resting,
do.
you're really brave. So
Of course they
yeah,
do.
that's it.
Of
So
course they
that's
do.
why I think that it creates connection, because you show
Yes,
that. Yeah,
absolutely.
that's it. So
You are
and
human.
yeah, that's it.
Yes.
That's it. And sometimes
Yes.
dentists forget this, and one of the complaints is, patients forget that we are humans too. So that you have to show them
Mm.
that you are human.
Yes.
You have to show them.
Yes.
You cannot hide yourself behind this wall of perfectionism, right? So
Yeah.
because that drives disconnection. Um, this people will really understand. Will connect to you on a different level, on a deeper level. They will trust your work in a much easier way. They will feel more relaxed
I
in the
think so.
chair. Mm-hmm.
I think so. I think they will. I think they will respect you more, and I think they will consider you more if and also because we are in the that's the era that we are now. I mean, you can't hide yourself of exactly who you are. Yes, in a certain way, social media has made it easier to create this avatar. But I think that actually, deep inside, I think that most authentic people are the people that thrive the most. That's what I think. That's what I believe. I think that transparency and honesty and being yourself is always the best strategy in the long term. Always. And by the way, when you ask me, some people that come to you and they say, "Look, I created this avatar and now I'm tired of it." What's the age that we are talking about for those people? What is
we
more or
are
less the
talking
age?
we are talking about people of our age.
That have practices, that own practices. Some of them, yes.
Some of them, yes. Some others, not. So others not.
And
The last colleague that told me this was not so long ago. It, for example, was from the United Kingdom, and he's working on the National Health Service, and he has his own private practice, but so 50-50. But it's not that uncommon. It's not that uncommon, Andrea. The problem is that once they realize this, it's very difficult to act another way. And they know if they start acting another way, that means probably they have
losing
to end.
some patients.
No, and they'd have to end probably a dentistry because they realize that it's not for them anymore.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa, but that's deep, That's deep. That is deep.
Because
I've never thought about that, but one of the things
the
that
only
I
way
know
that
is
you
that
can do
working
it is by faking it. Basically what they are saying is that they are faking it. It's not, they are not enjoying it, and to be able to be there, they have to be this persona that when the patient enter, and then when the patient is out, and they roll their eyes and they like, oh, it's over.
Yeah.
But
in
this
the UK, there's, but that's very typical of British, that there's this shallowness of there's this shallow kindness in professional. I mean, they are very nice, but it's not very open. I mean, it's a very dissimulated. It's like very on the surface, everything, they are very nice and respectful and stuff like that. But then deep inside, they are much more aggressive. Patients are much more unpredictable than in Latin countries. So, in one hand, yes, I do understand that you need to use this avatar. But I think that if you realize that you cannot do dentistry while being yourself, and I think that what you're saying is like they don't even like dentistry.
Yeah.
Which is good if they realize that it's good that they can do the profession, isn't it? I think that's a good thing. If you realize that you can do yourself doing the profession, I think it's
yeah, and colleagues that already realize that they are that they are not themselves while working, and that they've developed this character, and that they cannot work without incarnating this character. They already realize that something is wrong and that something needs to change. So usually when they come to me, when they reach out, what they are trying to understand is, okay, can I be myself in dentistry, or do I have to end it and get out? So they already reached this point, and yes. they are willing to give it a try. They are willing to find a way to be more present, to be themselves, to show their real selves in the profession. But also, like you said,
I think that
have a lot of risks of losing patients, of have to change a lot of things, etc.
There's a book by Col Newport. It's a very interesting book. It's called So Good They Can't Ignore You. And one of the things about the book, which is, it says that it's not very productive to follow your passions, which is a little bit strange, isn't it? But basically, the idea of the book is that you can only actually love what you do once you become good at it, right? So it says that yes, you will eventually, in the beginning, you may not be sure, but once you get very good at it, you will love it. Okay, that's one side of things, but there's also the other side. I mean, you should drop something that you really feel it's not for you. So where is that balance? I mean, when is the source of unhappiness just because that you are not dedicating yourself to the job? That's one thing. And that if you dedicate a little bit more to the profession, you will be happier. That's one thing. That's one of the sources. When is that the source of unhappiness? Or when is the source of unhappiness just the fact that is not for you, that your personality is just not for this? And I don't think that's an easy call.
No,
I don't think that's an easy call. I wish I knew that, but I don't think it's an easy call. But if after so many years, if after like 10 years in the profession down the road, if you really don't feel like, I mean, if you try for 1, 2, or 3 years and you work on it and things don't go well, I mean, yes, it's true. But like after 10 years, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know, but I think that you should always give, I think you have to be pragmatic in this sort of decisions. I think you have to be, okay, I'm in dentistry for quite a long time. Is there any way? Let me search for help. And I think that coming to you it's very good. They came to you and they asked you, okay, what can I do? Is there something that I can do before I quit dentistry? And I think it's possible to do some exercise and to do some change because actually the source of the issue may not actually be the professional part, might be the personal part.
Yeah. Yeah, and
That's one of the
it might
things.
be
But
also the environment that you are in. Sometimes, if you practice dentistry in different conditions,
yes,
things are different. Also,
it's completely different.
But you have to make changes.
Yeah, but I think you have to be pragmatic and you have to make changes. And let's make changes. Okay, now I'm practicing a dentistry that I really like. So I am still not happy. Okay, so then I think it's never too late to change. Never too late. I think that even if you're 50, even if you're 60, I think it is never too late for a change. I'm always very supportive of people that want to make changes, whatever those are. I think it's never too late. I think life can give you lots of opportunities, and you have to take advantage of those. And I think that changing your profession at 50 or 60, I don't see an issue there, especially today, where yes, it's true that there are some economical problems, but the internet has made so many new jobs that I think people should be doing what makes them happy.
Yeah, I totally agree. Doesn't mean that it's easy, but it's totally possible, and you can do it for sure.
By the way, just one last question.
Yeah.
Do you have many dentists that are considering quitting their job?
I have. Yeah.
You do?
I don't have many that actually do it in a complete way. Do you understand? So,
yes.
But I have many that want to quit at the long term, and they start preparing the way, and they start doing other things, and they start developing other skills, and they reduce their clinical work for 2-3 days a week, or 1 week a month, or 3 weeks a month, and they have 1 week free. But yes, I have many dentists coming to me to say, look, I want to explore other paths. I want to live dentistry in another way. I know that have more to give to the world, even dentistry related. I can bring more to dentistry than just sitting in the chair and working with patients. So yes, I think that dentists are realizing that they have that potential in them, and that they don't need in the beginning to quit clinical work. That's not even. I don't even advise for anyone to do that. That's just stupid if you do that, of course.
Yes, of course, of course.
But they start preparing the way, and what is very interesting also in that I observe is from the moment that they reduce the clinical work and that they have time to develop other interests, and even if they have time to rest and to do the things that interested them, to travel. I worked with someone that she started by taking 3 months off for traveling, and then she came back to the clinical work. But during the travel, she got this proposal to work with an online traveling company to be a guide in certain countries. So she's doing the clinical work and she's taking time to do that also. So
Nice.
you can there's a lot of potential, but what I observe is once they reduce the clinical work and they develop other things, even if they don't have to be a sidekick. You don't have sometimes to turn your passions into money, because sometimes there's a pressure for you to do that. I have to earn money with this thing that I want to do. No, so you don't even have to do that. But just for taking time from their clinical work, then they enjoy the clinical work much more, because they bring all the other part into the clinical work. They bring all the connection, all the creativity, all the things that they develop on the other side to their clinical work, and they enjoy it in a completely different way, and they are much more present and much more connected with the clinical work. And that's very beautiful to watch that, that transformation.
I think we have to place aside that idea that we have of dentistry, that it's just you inside the four walls with a patient with their mouth open, isn't it? And there are so many opportunities now that you really need to broaden the perspective. And if you think that you will be happy doing part time some of the stuff, I think you should go full power on that. That's my point of view.
Okay, it's already along. We lose track of time.
We have this
Yeah.
issue, which is we start talking
It
like
was
we
such a
were
good
in the cafe, and when
conversation.
we realize it's like 2 hours and 3 hours and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, just to wrap it up, don't, please, for the ones that are listening to us until now, don't hide behind perfection. Take the risk, be vulnerable, connect in a human way with others, with your patients, with your staff, with your colleagues. You'll be surprised with the reactions. You will create really deeper connections and meaningful connections. And don't forget that we have a conscious leadership course where we teach all of this. Please go to softbites.online. We have new dates for 2023, 6, 7, and 8 of April in beautiful Sagres in the south of Portugal. And André, if you allow me, I will close, because we started with talking about the movie, the documentary Stunts in Netflix.
Yes,
Please go
exactly.
see it. If you allow me, I will finish with the quote that I wrote from the movie. That it says, I think it has everything to do with just have been talking for the last hour. He said at a certain moment, he said, "We have to stay very grounded, but at the same time aim for the stars."
Who said it? Was it the shrink?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
was it?
No, it was him, the shrink Stunts. So I think it's resumes very well what we just said. So we have to stay very grounded, very present, very connected to what we are doing. But at the same time, we have to dream. We have to be creative. So we have to aim for the stars. We are not limited. Sometimes we as dentists, we limited ourselves. We are the ones limiting ourselves. Like you said, we put ourselves inside this box of four walls with a chair. But it's so much more than that. Yes, we stay grounded. Yes, we love those four walls and the chair, but we can really aim for the stars. So I think that's a beautiful way of
And
us
you can even
finishing.
aim for the stars inside those four walls, because there are many ways of being inside those four walls.
Yes, that's true. That's true. So thank you so much for this wonderful conversation, Andre.
Thank you, Manuel.
It's been it was for me this year, because we are in December. For me, this year was I had a lot of work, and that was a good thing. I had fun with my work. I almost didn't have any holidays this year.
When did we start the podcast? 1 year?
One year ago in November. Yes.
It looks like it has been like 10 years ago.
Yeah, 1 year ago. And that's it. It was an amazing year for me. I had so much fun. I almost didn't have vacations because I had a lot of work. But I had a lot of free time, enjoying my house and my puppy. That I have a puppy now. So and you were a big part of that. So thank you so much.
Thank you. You were a big part as well. You are my therapist.
I'm your friend.
And I knew exactly that. I knew that you would love the movie. That's why I recommend that to you. And I'd ask you to text me once you finish it, because I really knew that.
These conversations, when we have these conversations, the feeling that I have is this: like we are aiming for the stars. That we are discussing all this subjects that that they are usually not talked, and but that can really raise the bar in dentistry and can take dentistry to another level. So that's where I think that we are aiming for the stars here.
Yeah, I really wish that I had something that I could hear when I was in the first years of dentistry and dealing with all the frustration and all the mistakes. I really wish so, and I really hope that people that are listening to us, that we at least can make them think, and we know that changes, they are not from one day to the other. But I think that slowly, people are moving towards what makes them happy in their lives.
Yeah, and a big word of appreciation for the ones listening to us, because we have very faithful listeners. So thank you so much for the ones.
I wasn't aware of
the
that.
Ones listening. Yes,
I wasn't aware. Sometimes I get people that come and talk to me or give messages. And even sometimes in classes or in courses. Well, but you said that in that podcast. You said about this, and I said, yeah, you are right. Sometimes they remember details and things that we said that I don't even remember. So it's very cool. It's very cool that we are a part of their path as well.
So we will come back with
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm very grateful for you, for our friendship, and let's continue doing it, because I think we have a lot more to say and a lot more to discuss. So a big kiss, and thank you for everyone to listen, and we'll be back with another episode. Bye.
Bye.